everyone. Happy Tuesday. Hope your week is off to a good start. Today, we are talking to you all about leaky gut. So if you've been a member of our communities for a while, you've likely heard us talk about this. I know I talk about this in my masterclass in quite a bit of detail as well, and why it's important. And Casey and I were just talking the other day, and we thought, you know what? We actually have not talked in detail about leaky gut, and it is so extremely important when it comes to arthritis and other autoimmune diseases. So we're going to get into the nitty gritty of like, what the heck is that, and how does it actually contribute to our autoimmune symptoms? So, but before we get started, we're just going to quickly introduce ourselves for those of you who aren't familiar with who we are. I am Jessica Melnick. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist, the founder of the Anti-Arthritis Method, and the host of the Happy Joints Arthritis Solutions Group. And I help both women and men with autoimmune forms of arthritis get back to living life the way that they choose to, not the way that they have to, and not be limited by their illness. So I'm going to pass it on to Casey and let you introduce yourself.
I am Casey Kephart. I'm a functional medicine nutritionist. I have the program, the Feel Good Formula. I work with women with all different types of autoimmune diseases to regain back your energy, trash your symptoms, and get back to the activities that you love to do. And I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, where the sun always shines. And caveat, they are doing my roof today. So if roof sounds start coming in, I am so sorry and I apologize, and I will put myself on mute today.
We'll do the best we can. Maybe they'll have an extended lunch break over there. So we're good to go.
It's been an hour so far, so let's hope that it's another hour.
Excellent. They're getting new supplies.
Right.
All right. So like I said, we were talking about leaky gut and how it actually relates to arthritis and other autoimmune conditions. So when we talk about leaky gut, it is one of the main reasons and one of the main causes that we have arthritis and other autoimmune conditions in the first place. So that's why it's so important that we address this. So basically what leaky gut is when the gut lining is damaged and is not functioning as a barrier any longer. So what this means is that undigested food particles, toxins, bacteria, etc., leak into our bloodstream from our gut, creating inflammation and an immune response. So in other words, our autoimmune symptoms or our joint pain, arthritis. So how the heck do we develop this problem in the first place? So there are many reasons, and some of the top reasons are having a poor diet. So a standard American diet or a standard Canadian diet, they are the same essentially. So a lot of refined carbohydrates, packaged foods, man-made foods, all these things that our body doesn't really recognize, it doesn't really know what to do with, and it causes all sorts of problems in our body, and it creates inflammation. So poor diet, too much stress, excess alcohol consumption, medications. So some examples of medications that can create a permeable gut lining or leaky gut are birth control pills or NSAIDs, antibiotics, proton pump inhibitors, all the things that were given for heartburn. So these types of medications can really wreak havoc on our gut. Also microorganisms like viruses, bacteria, fungus, all these things. So we can actually develop an overgrowth of these bad bugs in our gut over beneficial. So we really actually want to have a much higher ratio of beneficial gut bacteria over bad. And we're going to get into that a little more later. Another thing that can contribute to leaky gut is too much exercise. Too much exercise actually, not only does it cause inflammation in the body, but it also creates stress. It creates stress, and stress creates that permeable gut lining as well. And lastly, another huge contributor to leaky gut is poor sleep quality and the lack of sleep. So doesn't allow our body to heal, doesn't allow our body to recover. It doesn't allow any inflammation to subside. So sleep is super important. Yeah. So continuous attacks on the gut lining is anything like these things that I just listed here that it's not something that is just often just one thing or another. It's often a combination of these factors that create the leaky gut over time. So it's a chronic and repeat offenders to our gut. So not taking care of ourselves for X amount of time. So this is stuff that doesn't just happen overnight, or it doesn't just happen from one stressful event. This happens for, over an extended period of time, pardon me, or having various factors that are interfering in that. So I'm just going to pause for a second. I'll let you add anything you like there at all, Casey.
Yeah. I always like giving the analogy of what a leaky gut is more in layman's terms, because this can be really sciencey sometimes, and analogies help a lot of people. So think about a yellow line in the road when you're driving, right? It's a do not cross line. That's what our gut should be for our gut lining, a solid road in the line. When you have a leaky gut, think of the white dashed lines in the road, the passing lanes, right? This is what our gut is. It's dashed lines when it's a leaky gut. And those dashed lines allow the undigested food particles, the bacteria, the toxins get into your bloodstream. And that's when all of those symptoms you start to feel come in: your joint pain, your fatigue, your brain fog, your skin issues, your gas, your bloating, your MS symptoms, your God, there's just so many symptoms out there. Anything that you're feeling, this is because of the leaky gut and all of what the immune system is trying to do to offset all of these things going into your bloodstream. They're attacking the foreign invaders to get it out of our bloodstream because it's not supposed to be there. So our immune system is doing the correct thing, but it's overreactive, and it's a chronic state that it's in. It can never die down. So we need to heal that gut to make it more of a yellow line in the road, so these things stop going into our bloodstream and spiking our immune system. So I hope that helps kind of wrap your head around what a leaky gut is. But we wanted to go through, again, putting this in layman's terms for you, just examples of our own lives and how we developed a leaky gut and what we saw when we had the leaky gut. And then afterwards, we'll go into, symptoms that you may be having or common symptoms of a leaky gut too. So for me, I started really noticing my symptoms freshman year of college. I was going to community college, and I had horrible stomach aches. I had brain fog. I could not finish my sentences, and I was tired all the time. I was moody AF. I won't say that word, but I was not stable at all. I was gassy. I was bloated. I was a hot mess freshman year of college. Ended up, I got diagnosed with celiac disease. Later, I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's, and then I got diagnosed with Lyme's disease, all because of a leaky gut and not knowing about it, and also not knowing how to fix it. But the reason I probably got that leaky gut was stress, very poor diet. I was drinking a lot because I just turned 20, or I didn't turn 21. I wasn't drinking yet, but that comes later. Lack of sleep. I was not prioritizing sleep at all. And probably from childhood, it was very unstable. It was stressful. It was in survival mode, basically. And that all leads to a leaky gut. So like we always say, it's not something that just came overnight. Cancer just doesn't develop overnight. An autoimmune disease doesn't just develop overnight. So these are things that were underlying in me for a long time. And the stress of freshman year of college just kind of uprooted it all and was like, okay, we're showing our head now. Here you go. Let's open the floodgates.
Yeah.
Jessica, I know you have a little bit different story than I do, so I'll let you share.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just looking at the list that we gave you guys earlier about different factors that can create and contribute to a leaky gut. And I'm going to just kind of go through some of that, because I didn't develop symptoms of arthritis until my early 30s, but when I look back on my life and just my health history, different experiences that I've had, I can really see how a lot of those things contributed to a leaky gut and therefore my arthritis and how that developed over time. So even if I look back to childhood, oh my goodness, like my mom even said I was a colicky baby. And then they found out I was lactose intolerant, which so many people are. As soon as they knew I was lactose intolerant, we took the milk out. I did so much better. But a lot of that, having consumed milk for as long as I had, that was contributing to inflammation. I also had numerous infections as a child. I remember always having an ear infection. Oh my goodness, all the time. I always had tonsillitis. I was allergic to everything. I was allergic to foods. I was allergic to dust, feathers, everything. And so I had a lot of rounds of antibiotics. And back when I was a kid, the doctor didn't know to say, okay, well, you need to make sure that you are replenishing your good gut bacteria with beneficial bacteria and probiotics.
Do they do that now?
Some do. Some
Really?
do. Yes, absolutely. I have some clients who have doctors who would actually suggested probiotics after antibiotic doses, which is amazing. So some doctors are learning about that. So yeah, I had so many rounds of antibiotics and no probiotics. And I also remember as a kid, oh my gosh, digestive distress, digestive problems all the time, as long as I can remember. I'm not going to go into details, but basically just use your imagination. I had it all. And it was very, very frustrating for me growing up. And of course, it just got worse as I got older into my teenage years, my 20s. And I tried everything under the sun, and nothing was working until I actually learned what I teach my clients now. Also medications. I took birth control for probably 20 years of my life. I had no idea that there was any side effects or that could contribute to a leaky gut because A, my doctor told me I would never have any side effects from birth control pills, and B, my doctor never ever told me about a leaky gut. That wasn't even an issue. And when I went for, to talk to my doctor about all my digestive issues, it's kind of just dismissed. Like it was, well, there's really nothing that you can do. Take Tums when you don't feel good, or take an Imodium, or take a laxative. There was never a solution that was presented to me. It was very frustrating. And also when I look into kind of traumatic events, I guess, leading up into developing my arthritis. I always tell this story. I also tell this in my masterclass in more detail, but I had left a really unhealthy marriage. I was going through a divorce. I also switched careers because I wasn't happy with what I was currently doing. And so I was totally burnt out. I used to be a social worker, amazing work out there, but it took its toll on me between that and having an unstable and unhealthy marriage. And I went back to school and I started working in entry-level positions for a new career that I was embarking on. And that was a huge, huge amount of stress. And I was burning the candle at both ends for years because I was going to school and I was working full time. You had financial stress because if anyone knows, when you start a new career out of having another one, your finances take a major, major hit when you start at the bottom. So I look at all those factors in terms of my health and just personal experiences that all led to the symptoms and triggered my my arthritis, my psoriatic arthritis. And that's kind of, I call it the perfect storm because it's always a number of things. It's never just one or two things. It's always a lot. So that's my story in a nutshell.
Yeah, exactly. So think back to when you were a kid. Did you have those multiple ear infections? Did you take the Tums or the Pepto-Bismol for your stomach aches? Were you on a lot of rounds of antibiotics? And usually as kids, we are. And that doesn't always mean that you're going to develop an autoimmune disease later on in life, but it's what our genes are predisposed to. So if you have genes, DNA, that are autoimmune genes, you're not likely, you may turn them on later on in life if there's a triggering moment like stress, trauma, poor diet, whatever the thing is for you. So if you don't have a gene for autoimmune disease, the likelihood that you having an autoimmune disease is not super likely. But if you do, that's what your body is susceptible to and going to go to. It's the same thing with our symptoms. If you have a gene for psoriasis, you're going to get psoriasis if you turn on that gene, and so on and so on. So you can turn on and off genes. Just because you have a gene does not mean that you're going to automatically get an autoimmune disease. So if your grandma has diabetes, that doesn't mean you're going to get diabetes unless you go down that route of poor diet and lifestyle. It's the same thing for autoimmune disease. So what Jessica and I do in our programs is we teach you how to turn off that gene again, to put that back in remission, put it back at bay, get rid of those symptoms, because that gene is on. So we need to turn it off. And this is basically everything we're teaching you in these lives and in our programs, is how to turn that gene on, or how to turn that gene off. We don't want to turn it on. It's already on.
Yes. And that doesn't mean that just because you have symptoms now and you're not well now, that does not mean that that's what you're destined for. And it's just going to stay that way and it's going to keep getting worse. Absolutely not. So just stay with us, because of course there's so much you can do. So back to leaky gut. We're going to talk a little bit more about what are some of the symptoms that you may possibly have if you have a leaky gut. So this varies from person to person. This is not cut in stone. This is not a substitute for medical advice, but these are some of the possible symptoms that you may have that indicate a possible leaky gut. So having irregular bowels, so constipation, diarrhea, all over the place. Having an autoimmune condition, so things like Crohn's, colitis, celiac disease, thyroid disorder, lupus, type 1 diabetes, or autoimmune forms of arthritis like rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, the list goes on. Mm-hmm. Having skin issues like psoriasis, eczema, acne, rosacea, having ulcers, again, joint pain or arthritis, having small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, otherwise known as SIBO. So what that is when you have bacteria, bad bacteria that there's an overgrowth of in your small intestine. And so when that happens, you can have a lot of digestive distress, like a lot of bloating and discomfort right after eating. So there's tests that you can get to see if you do have SIBO. You can get them from your doctor or functional medicine practitioner just to rule it in or out. And there is a way to treat it with prescriptions or without. Yep. Cancers are also a possible sign of a leaky gut. Allergies, various forms of allergies or food sensitivities. Allergies to environmental things like I was, dust, feathers, smoke, animal fur, like everything under the sun, you name it. Mm-hmm. Having respiratory infections on a regular basis. Having fatty liver, which by the way is very, very easily reversible. So liver is a very resilient organ. You just have to make sure you take care of it and not leave it go forever and ever and ever. Mm-hmm. Couple more, type 2 diabetes could be a sign of leaky gut. Parkinson's disease and obesity and weight gain. Yep. So just keep those in mind. Those are possible symptoms of a leaky gut. So Casey, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about, or start talking about how do we fix a leaky gut? Because I know that's super important, because of course we want you guys to be aware of it, but we're not going to leave you hanging in terms of what to do about it.
Yeah, so if you've watched any of our lives, we probably mentioned how to fix a leaky gut, but we haven't blatantly stated that this is a way to heal a leaky gut. So first of all, I want to direct you towards our other Facebook Live that we did last week of the 5 buckets to heal an autoimmune disease. So that will explain in more detail what we're about to go over now. But we divided it into 3 buckets this time. The 3 top ways to heal leaky gut, which is your diet, your stress, which also goes into sleep, and your toxin level. So with diet, we've talked about the autoimmune protocol before. That is what both of us teach, and that is what we preach to heal a leaky gut. It's a strict elimination diet, and then you have the reintroduction phase. And the end goal is to find your individualized way of eating to heal and nourish your body to the full effect. This gets rid of your symptoms. It mends that leaky gut, that gut lining that we talked about earlier. And it makes you feel so much better.
Yes.
The next, also we talk about quality of food, poor quality, good quality. So you want to make sure that you're eating good quality foods on the autoimmune protocol, which is going to be probably one of the most effective ways to healing your gut fast. Another really effective way to healing your gut is managing your stress. We've talked about this time and time and time again, and it sounds a little woo-woo, I know, but your stress directly correlates with poking holes in that gut lining, making that dashed line in the gut lining. So we're in a fight or flight response when we are stressed out in a chronic state of stress. Our body never has time to just slow down, rest, and recover and relax. And we're always up here, and we need to be down here. We're going into our parasympathetic nervous system, but we want to be in our sympathetic nervous system. And like I said, we can't recover. And then if we're not recovering and we're not sleeping, how the heck do we get better? So really stressed, often sleep tends to go down too. Quality of sleep or falling asleep or waking up in the middle of the night. So you want to make sure that you're relaxing, you're doing your stress reducing methods so you can sleep better. And then sleeping will help recover that leaky gut as well. So they all go hand in hand. And I know I'm going through this fast, but we've done so many lives on it that please go back and listen to them as well.
Yeah, and if you can't find them within the Facebook groups, then just send us a message and I can, shoot the link down back to you guys. So it's easy for us to get those to you. Yeah.
And we both upload these to our YouTube channels too. So that's really easily presented in YouTube too. It's just a whole list of all of our videos. So feel free to ask for the link for that too. The last one being toxins. So we often have a toxin overload in our bodies when we have a leaky gut or an autoimmune disease, and we need to get that toxin load down. So toxins, as you probably know by now, poke holes in the gut lining, making a leaky gut. And when we say toxins, we're talking about like smoke or smoking, cleaning products, alcohol, factories, being a mechanic with all the oil and the grease on you and inhaling all of those fumes, microorganisms. So we talked about this last week. That's the viruses and bacteria that are foreign in our bodies. Medications, Jessica just talked about that. So the birth controls, the PPIs, the even like Pepto-Bismol, Tums, all of those things. And cosmetics, so makeup, perfumes, shampoo, conditioners, soap, deodorants, all the things, cleaning materials. So again, it's not just one of these things that's going to cause you to go in overdrive in your toxin overload. It's all of the above. I'm sure there's more women than men on this video right now. Like, think about how much makeup you've worn in the past 30 years, and then perfume, and then how many times do we put on deodorant a day for how many years since you've been alive? Jessica, you look like you wanted to say something.
I'm like, we're not saying don't use any of that stuff. We're just finding, like, find a non-toxic version of that. There's tons of stuff out there.
Yes, exactly. So it's the constant attack to your body again. So we work, both of us, on cleaning this up in your lifestyle and really figuring out what could be a really big attack on your gut, and then how to reduce that attack on you. Because sometimes it's just things that we just don't even realize because we are never told by our doctors, the media, friends, family, commercials, whatever, wherever we get our information, we just weren't told this stuff. So we're here to help with all of that. And I think the moral of this video, if you go home with anything, is that your autoimmune disease is caused by a leaky gut. To heal your autoimmune disease, we need to heal the leaky gut. Mic drop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, perfect way to wrap it up. On Thursday, we are going to be in at a later time than normal, but that will be posted in our group to let you guys know when we will be live. And if you are wanting to participate live, of course, you can always watch the replay. And we're going to get into talking about probiotics, what that is, and how that helps our gut system and actually our whole body as a whole. So excited to talk to you guys again on Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you then.
Bye, everybody.